Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is my monthly recap video looking back at February 2023. I've titled this one Decks, One Book, Planner, and Random. I didn't only read one book in February, but I will get to why I'm only talking about one book in this recap a little later on. I have a couple of things to chat about this month, I guess. Not a ton. I'm tempted to say that this will be a shorter monthly recap than usual, but you know that usually when I say this, it turns out to not be true because I find a way to ramble on, even though I don't feel like I have much to share, so we'll just say it will be as long as it will be. In terms of general kind of life updates, things that have been going on in February, something that I'm quite excited about is that I started a geomancy class with Kelly of The Truth in Story. And this is a class that I've taken before. I believe this may be only the second time that the geomancy class in particular has run live. Kelly's classes are available as like sets of recordings when they're not running live, but I took it once before anyway. Really liked it, learned a lot, really loved geomancy as a system, and when it was running live for a second time and it was going to be 5 weeks instead of 4, which it was 4 the last time, I had to sign up to take geomancy again. I'm very happy to be nerding out about geomancy with a bunch of other folks in the class. A lot of fun. And this time I'm focusing on my geomancy readings being with my my sticks, which I did not have the first time that I took the geomancy class. So for folks who are unfamiliar with geomancy, it is a element-based binary system of ones and twos, basically. A geomancy figure has 4 rows of dots, either 1 dot or 2 dots, and so you can use sticks like this to create a geomancy figure. You can also use dice or any number of other methods. I use dice mostly, but these are really fun, so I am happy to have those for the geomancy class, and I'm excited that it's 5 weeks. It fits in quite well with my astrology studies, which I'm doing as part of my Druidry curriculum, because geomancy as a system has some astrological components. The oldest, kind of earliest iterations of geomancy didn't, but the incorporation of astrology into geomancy is very, very well established at this point, including the use of correspondences of the houses in astrology with the figures in a geomancy shield reading, and there's some other ways to incorporate astrology as well. So I've ordered a book specifically on astrological geomancy, and I'm excited to delve further into that. On the note of the Druidry curriculum, I made some changes, and this is totally allowed. You can change your curriculum focus if you want to. People frequently, plan to read certain books and then find that they aren't really what they'd hoped, or change direction and pick different books, and that's completely fine. You just email and say you want to change your curriculum, and then you get it approved, which I did. So the changes that I made, I actually changed all 3 of my practices. So I was doing a bardic, ovate, and druid focus, with a kind of project or practice for each one, and they've all changed. So my nature photography focused bardic exploration is still photography, is still nature photography, but I'd initially conceptualized this as a weekly practice, and it was very important for me to drop that. It is not possible for me to achieve that level of regularity. It's also, particularly not possible for me dealing with the kind of physical issues that I have related to the cold to be outside every week where I live. Like, it's just not possible in terms of me maintaining my physical health. So I dropped the reference to weekly, and I feel so liberated, honestly. Not that anybody was like checking up on me or making sure that I was doing something weekly, but just not having it there makes me feel better. For the ovate part of the practice, I had proposed, alongside the nature photography, to be doing some photo uploading for species identification on iNaturalist. And this I've just decided to drop completely. I think that of the three paths, the way that AODA, the order that I'm in, conceptualizes them, Bardic being kind of artistic, ovate being scientific, and Druid being kind of spiritual, magical kind of pursuits, ovate is the one that is least me. I did all three for the candidate grade, but now in apprentice, which is multi-year and a bigger undertaking, I think that doing all three, it feels like too much. And of what I've been focused on, the ovate is very clearly the one that I'm least invested in or interested in. So I decided to just drop that. And for Druidry focus, or the Druid component of the practice, I've been focusing on studying astrology. And for that one, I just actually added in a mention of geomancy as part of my exploration of astrology. So I'm excited to have that kind of officially part of what I'm looking at as an apprentice. So I feel really good about that. I also wanted to share that I finally, this month, got the chance to do some cooking from the Vegan Chinese Kitchen. Folks will recall, if you watched my last update video, or monthly recap video rather, that the Vegan Chinese Kitchen cookbook was my first 5-star read of 2023. I don't think that's ever happened before, that a cookbook would be the first 5-star read of the year, but there it is. It was really, really good. Highly recommend. And now, having cooked several dishes from the cookbook, I can continue to enthusiastically recommend. I had a lot of fun cooking them, and I enjoyed the outcome very much. So very happy with that. And I made a couple of different dishes, and I made them with alongside wild rice harvested from the lake very close to where I live, which is awesome. So I was really pleased with how that turned out. And so that's my February highlights. It wasn't a super exciting month, but there's always something fun to share. On to decks that I have received this month. None. I have received no new decks this month. No new divinatory tools of any sort arrived in February, so I don't have anything for this portion of the recap. On to the next. The next section will be decks that I have purchased in the month of February, and I have one to tell you about. Obviously, it is not here because I haven't received anything, but I did decide to pre-order Mags Black's Tree Whisper Oracle. There was a pre-order for this. It was a deck that I've been kind of looking at for a while. I missed it when it was available before, and so when I saw that Mags was soliciting interest in or assessing interest in another print run of the deck, I put my name in as somebody who was interested in ordering a deck if a pre-order did in fact happen, and there were enough people interested, so that is happening. My understanding now is that the Tree Whisper decks are printed and they just haven't been shipped out yet. So I'm looking forward to getting Tree Whisper Oracle. I think, it speaks to my druid heart. I'm very excited to see it. Other decks I've worked with most this month, or decks I've worked with most this month, rather. I've been all over the place, honestly. I brought down, so that I would have something to flip through while I talk, the Into the Void Black Cat Tarot. by Alexandra Aquilina. This has been a cuddle deck for me, hug deck this month. But I've used quite a lot of different decks, actually. I've continued to work through the Year in the Wildwood book. So I've been looking at the Wildwood Tarot. Not really reading with it so much, just kind of going through the prompts in that book. I have had my Naturescapes Tarot out. I've had a number of different Oracle decks out. I've been really all over the place. My friend Liz of West Star Tarot had shared a practice where she was wanting to use, some of her decks or more of her decks, and so was doing a daily draw from a different deck each day and leaving the cards all out and then looking at them together in the end. And I did try this in February, and so I used quite a few decks with daily draws. I found it totally overwhelming, if I'm honest. I didn't know what to do with the deck boxes in the meantime. I found it a little bit stressful to have all of these decks with one card out. My tarot reading / journaling table is not large enough to have all of those decks sitting out on the surface at once. So that kind of bothered me. I liked the kind of idea of leaving out daily draw cards and reading them together at the end. I thought that was fun, and I think the only way that would really work and make sense is precisely the way that Liz did it, with a different deck each time. Otherwise, obviously, you would be shuffling with less than a full deck if you were leaving a card out that you had drawn the day before and not having the chance for repeat cards, which, So I tried that. That was fun. It's not a thing that I'm going to stick with, but I enjoyed it. I've been actually, I've been kind of exploring, playing around with whether daily draws are for me, and I think I mentioned this in my last monthly recap too. Playing around with whether a daily draw is for me, whether or not a daily-ish draw is for me, because that's really what I'm much better at, or whether it's too much. I'm wondering if maybe reading on the kind of new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, last quarter, something like that, with a couple of cards at each time might be a good rhythm to try. I'm experimenting with the rhythm of my reading practice, we'll say. I do have a daily practice of a kind of shielding ritual that is part of the AODA Druidry, and I do some writing daily, some journaling, not always with a card, but often. And I, of course, I use tarot and oracle and other divinatory tools when I have a question, right? When I want to know something specific, or when I want to perhaps, explore different options in a decision or something like that. Like, I will go to tarot for those purposes when they arise, not on any particular kind of schedule. But I like the idea of a regular practice, if not a daily one. So I'm thinking about moon phases and thinking about what that might look like to make it more frequent than just new and full moon, but not daily, because I think find daily readings to be perhaps too much. So playing around. If you have, ideas of what you think I might like, let me know, because I'm open to suggestions, and I'm always curious what works for other people. Now, the one book I read this month, no. I read quite a few books this month, but since February is Black History Month, my reading was really focused on Blackathon, the Readathon that Jesse on YouTube, formerly known as Bowties and Books, has hosted for a number of years and hosted this year. I've done the Readathon, I think, for 3 years now, maybe 4, but I think 3. And there are always great prompts and, teams and themes and group books and activities and all kinds of things. The readathon is amazing. I'm going to link the readathon video below, even though the readathon is technically over. You could still do it in a different month if you wanted to. So I want to make a dedicated Blackathon recap what I read video, because I did read 5 books for that specifically. All of the different teams had 4 prompts and then a group book. And I went the route of picking 1 book per prompt. You didn't have to do that. You could easily combine them. But I chose 1 for each, and then I also did read the group book, which was phenomenal. I had a really good reading month. So I want to give the Blackathon books a video of their own, which I plan to film very soon while the books are still fresh in my mind. So that's why I'm not doing books so much in this video. I do have one, though, that I just finished at the very beginning of February, early in February, and that's the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. And this book, the reason that I got this book was because I had been looking at the Iyami Oracle by Aminat Oladipo, and I've been following along with the wonderful chats that Aminat and Queen Aset have been doing on Queen Aset's YouTube channel once a month, and I've been really enjoying those. And so here I have to show this deck. This deck is gorgeous and so well made. Do check out this beautiful deck. So I've been enjoying this, and this was a book that was recommended to me by Queen Aset as a potentially good supplementary reading to the guidebook that goes with the Iyami Oracle. So I picked this up. I picked up another recommendation as well, which I haven't read yet, but I will. And you know, it is called Handbook, but I decided to just read it cover to cover. And it was a good read that way. I quite enjoyed this. It's very informative. It's very well organized. There's a number of tables throughout. You know, it's quite clear while presenting, I think, very complex ideas, right? But is clear and readable. There's a few good appendices, a glossary. You know, one of my favorite things for a book to have is the bibliography, and this particular bibliography is full of scholarly books. Quite a few here, 3 pages of different references there. And so I found this really interesting. My favorite sections were this section on the Orisha, which is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is all about the Orisha, so it goes through the different ones. And there are different correspondence tables for color, number, natural environment, attributes, physical correspondences, all kinds of things for the Orisha, and that was very interesting. And then also the 4th chapter has a good section on divination and talks about divination, and I'm reading here a little bit. Divination in Yoruba tradition being consulted in order to seek scriptural messages of Ifa, inquire as to what offerings are expected by the Orisha, and inquire if the offerings are accepted. And it talks about different traditional divinatory tools and who uses them and in what context and for what kind of questions. Very, very, very interesting. So I think that this was a really good one for working with with this book, giving more, because this book, the guidebook for the deck, has a good amount for each card. You know, it describes the symbolism in the card, the figures in the card, and, you know, who they are, and a message, and it has the full color image there. But this is a good kind of contextual, you know, for this. So I enjoyed that very much. Learned a lot. I really liked, there's a really good, at the beginning, you know, I think, put the book down and then get excited about something else and have to go back. There's a really informative history at the beginning as well. The first chapter having to do with, you know, the historical kind of trajectories involved there. And so that was really interesting, and I'm glad that I read this book. And I'm looking forward to the other book that I was recommended as well. So I will be back in another video to talk about all of the fiction that I read. I read 5 fiction for Black History Month for Readathon, so keep an eye out for that. The next section of my recap video is my page a day book, and I have to tell you that my page a day art book is looking pretty sad for February. I deal with pretty serious kind of seasonal affective symptoms. I cannot say that this past month I've been particularly inspired, you know, to make art. I have some blank pages to go back and fill in for sure. I did make Into the Wildwood inspired forest there. That was fun with pencil crayons. I've written down, most of it is all text for February. I wrote down, you know, a quotation about from Philip Cargom's introduction to Ross Nichols' The Book of Druidry, which I'm reading right now, talking about Druidry is concerned with the ecological, the spiritual, and the artistic. I did some ink testing in here. I wrote down a couple of readings I did. I pasted in a label from a new bottle of wine that I tried that I didn't actually particularly like. I was interviewed for my friend's radio show. We talked about gender and magic, so I wrote down the interview questions. I was on our local radio campus and community radio station. That was really fun to do. I participated in a online session about dealing with and processing and supporting others through climate distress and climate anxiety, climate grief. So I have notes from that, but mostly it's text. It's text today, this month. Almost all, except for my Wildwood picture. Almost all of my page a day for February is text. So I don't have much to show you. Maybe March will be more artistically inspiring. We'll see. March is my birthday month, and I do love a birthday, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, I've changed something in my planner setup that I will share, and then I'll go to my decks to explore deck wish list after that. I've shown before what I've been using for my astrology tracking, as well as my wallet, as well as my day planner. Is this Traveler's Notebook cover, which was not new to me this year. It's been kind of floating around my office for quite a long time, unused, and so I decided to use it for kind of everything this year. This is way too cumbersome. It came to be like 1.5 inches or more thick, and I just don't need this much stuff. I don't like carrying a lot of things when I'm, out and about if I don't have to be. I found that sometimes, I just didn't want to be carrying around all this stuff, and a traveler's notebook really, is designed to carry around quite a lot of different things. I don't need to carry around my astrology tracker and my weather tracker insert, because really I fill that out once a day at home on my coffee table while I'm drinking coffee in the morning, usually. So I don't need to be toting it around everywhere I go. I also came to be slightly concerned about the system of having my credit card and, personal items like that just kind of in here, like they would fall out maybe. So I decided to change this. I'm going to keep the astrology tracker in here because that is a traveler's notebook insert. But I got a little wallet. This is Kinbor, the same brand as my day planner. And it has a zipper, which is much more secure. It is smaller. It's physically smaller, not by much, but it is physically smaller, and it's a lot more compact. So I'm not going to show the whole inside of this because like my driver's license and stuff is in there, but it holds my day planner, and then my cards and things are down here, and it can hold my little bit of money or whatever my wallet has in it. I don't have cash most of the time, but there's $5 in there right now. My cards in my planner and my pen all fit in here, and that's all I need really when I'm going out. So I have made that change. I still really love this this Kinbor weekly planner. Very good. Now, my to explore / wish list is significant, I think. So, the updates on the list. Sign of the Times by, Oracle by Crystal Banner, still on the list. We'll be getting that at some point. One with the Earth Oracle by Kim at Abundant Life Tarot, still on the list. I will be getting that at some point when I do a Make Playing Cards order. Now, the Flow Tarot, which is a water-based tarot deck. Lisa at Supportive Tarot recently did a video about it. I crossed that one off my wish list. It was number 6 on the list. This list is numbered. It's 1 to 100, actually. I'm just using it chronologically, not by prioritization or anything like that. I'd written it down as number 6 on this list, crossed it off, and then it got rewritten in again because I'm indecisive, apparently. This Pisces is very attracted to the Flow Tarot. It's, it's photographic, landscape. That's my style for sure. But it does have keywords or kind of titles, which is not my favorite thing in a tarot deck. In fact, I actively dislike it in a tarot deck. And the suit names are a little bit counterintuitive to me. I'm not sure if I had this, if I would use it as an oracle deck, or if I would use this as a tarot deck, but it's so pretty that it's back on my list again. Now, I bought the Tree Whisper Oracle. That's pre-ordered. I had mentioned that earlier. Also now on the wish list, new from last month, Tarot Duffomantic. I have wanted one of Duff Tarot on Duff Tarot's the handle on Instagram. I have wanted one of Duff Tarot's decks, which are photo-based decks. I've wanted one for a long time, and I finally kind of sat down and did a little bit of a look because she has a number of different decks, and I wanted to see which one spoke to me the most. So there's a Seasons one, there's Duffomantic, there's a third one, Tarot de Mundane. So there's several of them, but Duffomantic is the one that I like the best, and so that is on my list. Rustic Roots Lenormand is on my list. This is a deck that Krista from Antiques Tarot did a video about, and Rustic Roots Lenormand appeals to me because it looks like where I live in the imagery, and it has kind of, it has significator cards that have gender inclusivity in mind, which I look for in a Lenormand deck. Now, I have a minuscule Lenormand collection. Very, very, very few decks. It is not my strong point in terms of divinatory systems at all. I feel like I need more practice with Lenormand, so I don't know that this is a really high on the wish list item, but I really, really like it. And so it's on there. The Flow Tarot is on the list again. Who knows if it will stay. And then I have also 3 decks on the list which are forthcoming. Basically, I had been keeping a list of forthcoming decks digitally in my Notion database, and I decided to just get rid of that since I'm keeping my to explore deck wish list in here. So these 3 forthcoming decks are the ones that kind of survived the deletion of the digital wish list. I don't know if all of these will be coming out this year, so these, who knows what's going to happen to them being on my wish list. We'll see. The first is that Afro Drip Tarot by Shaniqua Leach. I had backed this on Kickstarter and it didn't quite make it. I understand Shaniqua to be working on releasing it with, I think, a pre-order, so that is on my list. The Mirror Oracle. The Mirror Oracle is going to be coming out by Amrit Brar, who is the creator of the Marigold Tarot, which I really, really like. I'm sure folks know the Marigold Tarot. She's working on the Mirror Oracle. There's not a lot of cards shown yet. There are some on her Instagram, though, and it's very much in the style of the Marigold Tarot, which I really, really like. So that's on the list. And then the last one on the list is the Octavia E. Butler Tarot, which Adrienne Marie Brown and Krista Franklin are doing, that is forthcoming on AK Press. There is no release date for it. I don't know when it will come to exist, but it is a publisher of books that I support. I really like AK Press. I like, what they do. I like the books they put out. If I'm going to publish a book, that's somebody that I would aspire to work with. And, it's Octavia E. Butler and tarot. So obviously that is on the wish list. That is my to explore / wish list as it stands. So exciting, right? I didn't include on that list, there's one, is there even 1 or 2? I think there's just 1 out of print deck that I'm interested in, but I'm not going to write that on the list of decks to explore because it's unless there's some re-release or something, then it's not going to happen. And I'm not writing down decks that I have absolutely no clue if they're going to come out or not. So that's the wish list. That's maybe a to explore list. Will the Flow Tarot get crossed off the list again or checked off? Who knows? Wait and see in the March recap. So I'm looking forward to March again. Pisces season. It is my birthday in a couple of days. So I'm excited to be hopefully having a good birthday month. February has been a bit blah and a bit dreary, and right now we're getting a snowstorm. So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully there'll be some more sun in March. I'm planning for my birthday time to get out and do some hiking and some photography. Maybe I will bring you all along in a video. We'll see. I am going to be looking at maple for the tree for March, which I'm really excited about as well. So I wish you all well. I will see you again soon. Thanks for stopping by my recap, and have a great March.